Hey, let's talk in this video about WSUS, or Windows Server Update Services. Now I'm pretty sure most of you know what WSUS is already, so I don't think it makes sense to go over the basic stuff about it. So in my opinion, it's better to just go ahead, install it and configure it and talk about it as we go along. The scope of this video is to implement a basic WSUS infrastructure, so just a WSUS server, and to try and update one of our servers from the domain to see that it is working. And just as an info, in order to get WSUS running, of course you will need internet connection on the WSUS server somehow. In my case, I have a proxy that will give me internet connection. In your case, maybe you have the same, or maybe you can assign directly a connection that has internet to the WSUS server, or you give it maybe 2 network cards, however you can. Okay, so most of the things I will try to do them with PowerShell, at least the things that can be repeatable if you want to make multiple installations, and some things we will do them also from the graphical interface. And this server, since it will have a lot of traffic through it in case you will really use it, in my case I gave it 4 GB of RAM, dynamic RAM, so you see it can go to a maximum of 4 GB, just so I make sure that it is working. So first things first, let's install actually the WSUS role. So looks like it's finished and no restart needed, which is awesome. Now after you install it, you will see here that you have a Windows Server Update Services tile and also IIS tile, because WSUS works through an endpoint, a web endpoint. Now after we install it, we have to do some basic configuration. First is that we have to create the folder where WSUS will store all of its data, and this will be in C. And then we have to tell WSUS to initialize itself with that folder. And now it's been initialized. And one more thing, I know that a lot of people call it WSUS, but in my opinion it's much easier to call it WSUS. Here is the folder where we have now all the WSUS files. And now let's go ahead and make some basic configurations to our WSUS server. First we have to get an instance of it, and then from that instance we have to get the configuration. And now in this variable WSUS config, we have everything that we can configure for our server. If you just show what the variable contains, you see it has a lot of configuration items that some of them already have values, and for some of them we need to change those values, or we need to add values in them. So then, first and foremost, let's set that our WSUS server should replicate from Microsoft Update. Okay, this is set. And in my case, since I'm using a proxy, I have to set the proxy in the config. If you have direct internet connection, this is not mandatory for you. So I have to say use proxy, yes. I have to give it the proxy address, and let's save until this point the configuration. Now, next thing on the agenda is that by default WSUS is configured to get updates and also language files for the updates. So basically updates in a lot of languages. But for me, I only need to get the English ones. So I don't want all languages. And for a list of languages, I only want English. Let's save again. Now we get to another point where we have to make a decision. The way WSUS and the update clients are discussing, or the way, let's say, updates are delivered to clients. What I want to do is enable client targeting, which is you create group policies, apply them to clients, and then through those group policies the clients know, okay, I belong to the critical update group, I belong to the test group, I belong to the normal group, I belong to the server group, and so on. You will see this because we have to create these group policies, so we will do this in the video. But for now, let's enable client targeting, save the configuration. And now what we have to do first, before continuing, is we have to go to Microsoft and download a catalog of its updates, basically to make a first synchronization of data. Not updates themselves, but only metadata about the updates. Because for now this WSUS server does not know what updates it could or could not serve. Let's get a subscription and let's start an initial synchronization. And with this command that I put here, we can check if the synchronization is done or not. And you see that now it's still running. It takes a while. If I remember correctly, it takes a couple of minutes. So I will come back to you when it is done. So after a long wait, you should get that it's not processing instead of running, which means that it worked. And in the meantime, I also found out that we need to add one more thing to our configuration of WSUS. This is so that we don't get a welcome screen with the initial configuration at the beginning. We say that it has been already initialized and we save. Excellent. Next, let's select that we want only updates for Windows Server 2012. For the scope of this lab, we don't need updates for any other product. We only want updates for 2012. And we also want a specific class of updates, which I mention here. So if any class of updates is not in this list, it will be disabled, and only these will be enabled. This has also been done. And we can now start an initial synchronization to get updates for the specified product and categories. So we start the synchronization. We can see the synchronization progress, which for now seems that it's beginning, and also the status. It will just show us if it's running or not. Interesting that it says that it's not running. I have a feeling this is why, so I think I have to also enable or let's see. So this is the WSUS product that we want. Let's see if I just run set WSUS product, if it changed anything. I haven't done this in a while, guys, so I'm a little rusty. Okay, let me add this command also, just so we don't make any mistakes in the future. So we disable everything that is not equal to Windows Server 2012 and we enable only Windows Server 2012. Okay, looks good now. And now let's try a synchronization. In this case it should take a little longer. What? Not processing. And now I'm okay. I think it just took a little to get started. So you see we have 1632 total items and however many it processed until now. So I'll get back to you when all this is done, because it will take, I guess, a couple of minutes. Whew, and we are done. It took some time, and I don't want to alarm you, but it took so much and it only got all the metadata about all the updates. It did not get the updates themselves. If we wanted to get all 1600, it would have taken a lot longer, but we will not do that in this video, so yeah, don't worry. And now that this is also finished, I want before we go on to other stuff, I want to show you all the options available in this console. We did some of them from PowerShell. There are still 2 or 3 left to do, which I will not do, I will just show you. But I want to go through each one of the screens. So update source and proxy server means update source if we want to get updates from Microsoft, or if we have a multi WSUS server infrastructure, we can point a server to another server to download. For example, if you have maybe 3 locations, one of them is the headquarters. In the headquarters you would have the server that goes to Microsoft, and in the other 2 locations maybe you have good bandwidth, you would have the 2 servers pointed to the primary one. Just an example. Products and classifications you saw already. WhatsApp. Update files and languages means that we want to get updates in a specific language, and you remember we set only English for our case. Automatic approvals. Now this is important. When you download updates, by default they are not approved. They are on the server, but clients will not see them unless they are approved. And by default we have this rule, approval rule, which approves any critical or security updates for all computers. Also, synchronization schedule is something to be aware of, because now every time new updates appear from Microsoft, our WSUS server needs to synchronize to get the metadata, and we are set to manual. If you want to really make this usable WSUS server and don't worry about it, I'm pretty sure you will want to make an automatic synchronization once a month, or however you would want to do it. Okay. Computers. Here in computers, if you remember, we said that we want client targeting. We specify that we let group policy on the client tell the WSUS server which group the computer will belong to. The server cleanup wizard, you can run it anytime you want, and it will try to clean up temporary files and unused updates and stuff like that. And this is the WSUS configuration wizard that we skipped. This is what you get when you first install WSUS, and if you don't use PowerShell, you will go through each one of these tiles to configure the settings. So this was it for all the options, a quick run through the options. In synchronizations, you see all of your synchronizations, if they failed, if they were successful, and so on. Okay, downstream servers we don't have, but if this was the primary one, in this list we would get any downstream server that connects to this one. And in computers we have all the computer groups, which for now are not existing, so only all computers exist. Let's create a group. Under all computers we say add a computer group, and let's say name it general. And now if we create a group policy to target servers for updates, we can target them to the general group. So for example, we could approve updates to install on general but not on the rest of the groups if we had more groups. This is the reason this exists. Okay, let me see my file. So these things we talked about. Target groups, we created target groups. And before we go to the group policy configurations, let's also download 2 or 3 updates so we can have something to test. To see a list of all the updates, even though they are not downloaded, all the metadata, you can go, for example, to all updates. Yeah, unapproved should be fine because nothing is approved. And you see we have a lot of updates. I will choose randomly maybe 2 or 3 updates. Let's say, for example, this one. I will approve it. Let's approve it on everything for install. And now the update will start downloading in the background. Let's also get, let's say, for example, a security update. And you see, whenever you click an update, you will get this message. Usually, if you see for an update, this update is superseded by another update, means that this one is obsolete and there's a newer one. But in our case, again, it doesn't really matter since we are only testing. And maybe one more should be okay. Good. So now we have 3 updates that will download in the background. Let's go and create our group policy on the domain controller. So I'm on DC01, and first let's go to Active Directory and create ourselves a new organizational unit. Actually, let's create one OU that will be the master OU. Let's name it Test Corp, and under this one let's create an OU called servers, and under servers let's say that we want one called general servers, and let's move one of our test machines to that one. Let's say IPAM01, move to Test Corp servers general. Okay, so now we will apply whatever group policy we create, we will apply only to this OU. Good. Let's go to Group Policy Management. And under Domains, Test Corp, Servers, General, create GPO and link it here. And say for the name Update General Servers. Okay. Now it's created, it's linked, but it's empty. Let's edit. And to set different options for Windows Update, we go to Policies, Administrative Templates, Windows Components, and Windows Update. And here you have a lot of options that you can play around with. I will not go over all of them because it would take some time to go and explain, and to be honest with you, I don't know really all of them, but I will configure the ones that we really need. One of them is enable client-side targeting, because this has to be enabled from Group Policy, and it's very simple. We just say it's enabled, and here we have to give it the name of the WSUS group that we made. So if you remember, this is called General, and this is the name that we have to give in the Group Policy. Okay, client-side targeting is enabled. And one more thing we really need, it's mandatory, is specify intranet update service location. This means that we have to give it the location, the address of the WSUS server and of the report server, which is the same. And I have it here. Okay. This is also done. Now, for all intents and purposes, Windows Update will work with only these two things set, but we have to really go on the server and check manually for updates and install them. You also have the option to configure automatic updates, for example, at specific times, and many more interesting things. I will not go over this in this video. So then, now with this group policy set, we just have to go to the IPAM01 server, apply a gp update /force, and then try and look for updates. Okay, this is IPAM01. Let's open PowerShell and force a gp update. gp update force. Let's quickly check that it's applied what we wanted. Okay, update general servers. Then let's go now to Windows Update. Control panel, Windows Update, turn on automatic updates, and let's see, since this server does really not have any updates installed on it, also to the update client, I do not know if it will work from the first try, or I have to press check for updates again if it will give an error. But as soon as it finds something or the status changes, I will get back to you and we will continue. And on my first try, I see that we have an error. And before I try again, I want to see if at least the server got to be registered in the WSUS configuration. So on the WSUS server, let's see if we have something under all computers, and I want status any, and I see it appeared, so it contacted the server, and let's see if it appears also under general where it actually should appear. Yeah, so the group policy worked, but let's try again. So this is usually what happens when you really have an unupdated image. This is the image that first came out with Windows Server 2012, no updates in it, so yeah, some strange things happen usually with Windows Update. So again we got the error, and in the meantime I wanted to make sure that it's the one that I thought, and this is related to the fact that since this is a new and unupdated machine, and in WSUS we have a lot of updates, it will fail the first couple of times because it has to get a lot of metadata and it can't only in one try. So I hope that the third try will work. If not, I will keep trying until it will find me the updates. And unfortunately, if you want to continue testing, you have to do it too. Now, if this was maybe a productive environment, we would have the image updated, and also maybe we would have detection frequency automated maybe once a day or sooner, so that the update client would check continuously, so we would not have to click try again and again. Okay, so checking on the WSUS server, I actually found the problem, and it's interesting because I forgot about it. The application pool of the WSUS site is down, and the reason why it's down is that where is it? We have to make a couple of settings. I actually put it right in this file because whenever you deal with servers in test environments with small amounts of RAM and also default settings for WSUS, you can get to this problem. So my solution, which worked when I tested it previously some time ago, is to modify the app pool settings as far as memory is concerned. So first we need to modify the private memory limit to make it a little bigger. Let's say we add 2 here, so we make it about 2 gigabytes, and the regular time interval, let's make it 240 minutes. Let's start up the app pool again, and let's try again to search for updates. So after 5 more tries, it finally worked, or at least it found the updates. And I want to announce officially that I hate Windows Update after this video. Now that it found the 2 applicable updates, I hope that it will also be able to download and install them. Let's see. Yeah, so it looks okay. It tells me that I need a restart, so at least it worked. Let's restart the computer and I'll come back to the WSUS server. But one of our problems is now that if, for example, we want to see reports for servers and updates, we cannot. This is because we need the Microsoft Report Viewer. And this is the next step that I want to show you. How to make Report Viewer work. First and foremost, we need to install a .NET Framework 3.5. And if you remember, we installed it, I showed you already in the previous video, so let's install it. Installed. And next we have to install the Report Viewer, which you can download from this link. And I put mine in C. let's do this. Okay, it's installed, and I'm not sure if it works directly or I need to open again the console. Let's see. Let's open the console again. WSUS reports, and now you can generate different reports for different things related to your WSUS environment. Let's say a detailed report. Anyway, we don't have too many things. We just have updates, but only one server, so not too many information. But at least now we have also the possibility to create reports, view reports for each update, and so on. Okay, so that was basically it. I did not go into too many details, and as you saw, even without too many details, WSUS can cause a lot of problems and time spent analyzing them. But we managed to get through this video. Thanks a lot for watching. And I think, I'm not sure yet, but in the next video, I either want to do branch cache, or I think I also want to try and show you Windows deployment services, and then in the next video show you how you can make install a Windows Server 2012 install image with updates integrated in it. So we'll see in the next video what I decide. But until then, please subscribe, please like and share if it was interesting to you, and thanks a lot for watching.